Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day, it's a new life. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Someone a drink, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.
Hello, race fans, and welcome to Goat Locker, the Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series. The season has started off with 5 different winners in our first 5 races, but tonight we're at the Monster Mile, and the question everybody's asking, can we go 6 for 6? We've seen high-speed super speedways, we've seen bumpy racetracks throughout the season, but tonight we go from last week's race at the half-mile concrete short track of Bristol to the 1-mile concrete track of the Monster Mile at Dover. Strap it tight and let's get ready to watch round 6 of the Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series, and you'll see all 15 races right here on V-Speed. And hello everybody, I'm Alec Martinez, and joining me tonight in the booth is for the first time here tonight is Scott Shive. Scott, great welcome to the booth number 1, and also shout out to Eddie producing here tonight as well. Eddie Smith doing a great job. Scott, welcome first of all here tonight. Now the question is, I know it's your first time, we've caught you up all on the action that's happened this season, and now it's race 6 of the Monster Mile here. How do you expect these drivers to attack this treacherous racetrack?
Dover, the concrete track. It's a tough one. Well, you said it. Will we go 6 for 6? I just don't know. We've got so many talented drivers in this field that have not won yet, but what we know about Dover is that it is so tough. Those high banks, this short track, rough racing. It is going to be a race of survival tonight, so we're going to see who can come out on top. And will that be a repeat winner, or will it be another first, like you said?
For sure, and we're like I said last week, Andy Kurtz taking the win at Bristol. As we go to our live shot of the Dover or the Monster Mountain, there's Miles the Monster right there. He's hungry, he's ready for some more race cars, but we're almost about, or we are at the halfway point, a little bit past the halfway point of the season. Before we get to the points here, we're at Dover next week. We go to a road course at Watkins Glen, then Iowa, Phoenix, a Dash for Cash race in Las Vegas. Going to close out this regular season until we get to the chase, and finally after a few weeks the points are out, and we'll take a look at our points here. And so far, remember, winning your in system, Patrick Drabick has the win this year at one at Nashville. Then Cody McElwain got his win at the Milwaukee Mile. Howie DiSavino got the win at Atlanta, and Jeremy Gardner won the race opener at Talladega this year. They're all locked in. They don't have to worry about points, but everybody else, Levi McCarty, Jake Ham, Jesse Nekula, all down to Steve McDonald, to Charlie Harcum, Daniel Cunningham. Very close, very tight battle, Scott. I think that's going to be something to monitor throughout the rest of this regular season.
Oh, we'll be watching it all season long as we have these races that are going to lead us into these playoffs. As you can see, it is so close between a lot of these drivers. We're going to be watching each race all the time.
For sure, and qualifying taking place here so far in the Monster Mile. Currently, Mike George on the pole, and we'll go to the Google Earth here and look at where this is all located in Dover, Delaware, right next to the casino down the backstretch. And wow, beautiful work by Eddie here in the production. And look at that, Dover, 24 degrees of banking in the turns and a total of 1 mile here. And tonight, 115 laps, 115 miles. Scott, this track, difficult to attack. We know the track position will probably be king here tonight. I think here, tires are going to be a matter as well, and I'm sure we have the track facts to pull up, Scott, and I'm sure you might have something more to add on that as well.
Tires are going to be absolutely important. One of my buddies lives away from here, and he told me that it's a great atmosphere, as we know at the Monster Mile. Obviously a great atmosphere in the same here, but you said it. Tires are going to be key here tonight, and it's going to be absolutely important. Located in Dover, Delaware, like we said, 1 mile concrete track, 28 degrees of banking in these turns, so that is extremely heavy. That's like the top banking that we saw last week at Bristol. Almost one of the highest degree bankings that we have besides Talladega and Daytona. 9 degrees of banking on that front that makes the exits of the corners really difficult. 4 corners, obviously a D-shaped oval, and so this is going to be great. Opened May 19th of 1969, so a lot of times a lot of these NASCAR tracks came open, but man, Alec, I am excited for this tonight. We've got our driver lineup coming up here in just a second.
Yes, we will, and it looks like Mike George has won the pole here for tonight's race, the 115-lap race here, race 6 once again, and we'll pull up our starting lineup. Mike George on the pole here with a 23.593. Jeremy Gardner going to be rolling off to his outside. And remember, that is the Mike George with the Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award. And Mike George, again, with a 23.593 second time. So takes, I think, his 3rd pole of the season. And Jeremy Gardner starting on the front row for the first time this season. Row number 2 is going to have Jake Ham starting in 3rd. Jamie Barkis rolls off 4th. The Duke will roll off in 5th. Patrick Drabick will roll off in 6th. Levi McCarty will start in 7th. George Jewell rolls off to his outside in 8th. Chance Taylor back here tonight rolling off in 9th. And Michael Kostek rolls off in 10th.
Well, in the back half of the field here in 11th, we'll have the 85 of James Goshen, and to his outside, Craig Bontrager in the 49. Then in 13th, we'll have the 27 of Jacob Ellickson, looking to win here soon. Strong driver, as we know, hasn't won quite yet. Then to his outside in 14th, the 66 of Jamie Mullins. Then back in further rows, we'll have Howie DiSavino in that 55, and the 33 of Tyler Justice in 16th. Then in 17th, that number 91 of Daniel Cunningham, and in 18th, the 64 of Matt Knights. Rounding out your back half of this field is Charlie Harcum in that 28, and in 20th, the 75 of Charles Phelps.
And then Stephen McDonald, who's on that cut line, will roll off 21st. James Kaufman right below him in the cut line, rolling off in 22nd. Mike Bertosa will roll off 23rd. Timothy Stubblefield rolls off 24th. Andrew Chapman rolling off 25th. And Scott Phelps will round out the field here tonight. And, well, man, they're gridding. We're getting close here, and man, I can't wait to see the action that we're going to see. We've been treated to a lot of great races this season. I would have to say, no doubt, we're going to be treated to another one here tonight.
Well, as we know from Goat Locker, they always put on a show. These drivers are very capable in these trucks, and it is just so awesome to see the product that they will put out here on track with each and every Friday night. I'm expecting to see a lot of good things here. What are you thinking about, Alec, tonight? What are we thinking about? You know, we went to a short track last week. We went to Bristol. Do you think we're going to see the same sort of action, or is it Dover a whole different game?
I think Dover's a little bit of a whole different game. We're going to be fast. They're going to be going around these corners quick. The tire fall off. Who can manage tires usually tends to be the best here. And I think, in my opinion, Jeremy Gardner is that guy, and he's my pick to win this race. I got to ask you, who do you think can get it done here tonight?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously looking at Mike George. First in practice, first on the pole here tonight. But I'm always looking at Jacob Ellickson, Michael Kostick as well. And we got the big players out here. Patrick Drabick already got a win. We know he's very strong. We'll just have to see.
Yes, sir, we will. Pace car will pull off into pit lane. It's Mike George and Jeremy Gardner to lead us off. Green flag is out, and the Veterans for Life Racing Truck Series race number 6 for the Monster Mile is underway. George with a beautiful start off of turn 2. It's a battle for second between Ham and Gardner. Down into turn 3, George pulls about a 2.5, 3 truck length lead into 1, but they still battle for second. David Duke has worked his way up to 4th, and McCarty up to 5th off of turn 4. Mike George gets the nod and leads lap 1.
Jake Ham will fall into second there, passing around Jeremy Gardner. That bottom line is extremely dominant, and we'll just see. You have to get to the bottom so quick here, Alec, and Jake Ham was able to do that.
Oh, and a little bobbing and weaving behind them. James Goshen gets loose. Looks like Kostick checked up. Now Bontrager on the inside loses the handling of that truck, and now Goshen kind of stuck on the outside. This is the first side-by-side battle throughout the field. Bontrager will have to come back in line, and ahead of them now poking out of line, Howie DiSavino in that Peak Breast Cancer Awareness truck. Good homage there in the Hope truck on the side. Loose there off of turn 4. Can he save it? Barely taps the inside wall, and it's just as I'm about to shout him out there. Maybe a commentator's curse. As it's a great gather up. Maybe a little bit of damage to that left side, but overall it's better than having a wrecked race truck.
That was a great save. Fell about 6 or so positions there, but that's better than being in the inside retaining wall. Great save there from the 55 of DiSavino. Saw him a second ago try to go for three wide right before that spin, but man, that was an impressive save, Alec.
And last week, coming off of an impressive run, was Jake Hammond at 87, got a 3rd place finish, and right now he is looking poised to get the lead here as he's up to 2nd. He started 3rd up 1 spot, but really Mike George hasn't really been able to pull away, and maybe the Marconi setup shop under these trucks kind of, these guys having to manage tires, but not get into the wall there. And right now it seems like Mike George is maybe saving tires, but he's backed the field up to him 1st through 10th, only separated by a 2.5 seconds.
That's what I was going to say, Alec. I think he's saving. You know, that's the great thing about being the leader. You set the pace of the field, and that's what Mike George is probably doing right now. He's leaving just enough space to leave Jake Ham right back there behind him to feel comfortable, but he is pacing this field to his own pedigree, and that's going to do him well later on in this race. So I can guarantee you he is saving right now. Jake Ham, let's see if he'll go for the lead or be content to stay in line.
Can't you save better than the competitor ahead of you as lap 7, clicks onto the board and battle Jacob Ellingson going to get by Chance Taylor on the outside, and take a look at our driver cameras. There's Chuck Phelps, George Jewell, Patrick Drabick, Jake Ellingson, Jeremy Gardner, and the Duke, David E. Duke on your right side in the bottom half of your screen. And these drivers working the wheel here around the Monster Mile, and right now battle for the lead, though, is kind of heated down, or has kind of cooled down a little bit, but battle for 10th. George Jewell trying to get by Chance Taylor, James Goshen right behind them, and now side-by-side battle down the backstretch into turn number 3.
I know a lot of these guys are happy that Charles Phelps is only a sim racer, because if I got in an incident with him out on the track and we got in pit road together, I'd be running away.
Yeah, I think me and Joey actually brought that up last week. We said,
me and him have brought it up before in the past season.
We would not want to get into it with Charles Phelps right now.
No, not at all.
Man, I'm just so amazed at how this field is so close. The lap times really aren't that much of a difference in the split. And really, like I said, the top 10 was now separated by about 2 seconds, but you look all the way back. Oh, Michael Kostick harder to the inside wall.
Still
And
green
that-
there.
Yeah, no caution going to come up, but that might be race-ending damage. Definitely suspension damage on the 3. You can see the left side is heavily damaged. And right now, we'll go to a look at our instant replay battling there with Howie DiSalvino. This was for about the 13th place position on the racetrack here. DiSalvino close up to the back bumper here, and then I think, really, I don't know if there was, there might have been a little bit of contact.
Oh,
left rear to
very
right,
close.
left front to right rear, and gets into the inside wall. And unfortunately, for the 3 truck, no caution coming out, and now way behind with a heavily damaged race
Oh,
truck.
just
Yeah.
the tiniest little tap from DiSavino to the back of Kostic's bumper, and that was all you needed. It goes to show, Alec, how loose these race cars can get here around Dover with these setups. So just a tiny tap like that can get you spun.
Yeah, and like I said, unfortunate for Kostic, who's now down to 25th with a heavily damaged race truck and all by himself. Nobody around. He's going to have to hope for a caution to get some of that damage fixed. And remember here, if we get green flag pit stops, one of the slowest pit roads we go to all year. And remember having to slow that down to 35 miles an hour is a battle for second on the racetrack. Jeremy Gardner to the inside of Jake Ham. Gardner kind of let Ham go, and he's been saving behind him, but as laps click off, Gardner a little bit faster, although he bobbles on the bottom, loses some side force, and will have to resign back to third, and Ham holds on to second.
Gardner is such a fast driver. We've seen him so powerful here in these races. Obviously already won here and trying to go forward again right now, sitting third, trying to go for that second position on Jake Ham. He fell back right here. He's just going to have to try to re-go and refocus.
He will, and now George pulls about the biggest lead he's had since the first lap, about 2.5 truck lengths. Although Ham not letting him out of sight behind Gardner as we're on board with them. It looks like Duke is getting a little bit of pressure from McCarty, and Dravic is getting a little bit of pressure from Barkas. And those guys are just, and it seems these guys on the right rear, from what I can just tell. These guys slipping, sliding around, having to conserve that right rear. You do not want to make that right rear mad, because this track will be, it's a handful in a hurry.
I know one of the similar things to this last week at Bristol and this week here is coming off of turn 2 and turn 4, you can get so loose so easy. Just the transition from that bottom banking onto the bank straightaway, that little transition there is just such a loose part for the car. The car gets so loose. It's almost like the rear wheels just want to lift right out up from under you. It's almost like you lose gravity just a little bit with the change in the speed and how you're going. So it's just so easy, like we've seen some guys get loose. We saw DiSavino earlier. So there we go. Gardner's coming back at Jake Ham.
Can he get under him, get by him? Although no side force now to the side of that 42 truck. Ham's going to have to get out of the throttle here on exit. Although carries enough momentum to stay pull about a half a truck length here to Gardner. Now clears him into turn 3. And remember, this track, a lot of drivers describe it as almost like a roller coaster. They go up off of the corners and then down into the turn 1 and 3 and up off of 2 and 4. And maybe causes, like you said, that loss. Or kind of like you're going up and lose that little bit of gravity and carrying so much speed. These trucks exiting the corners at, I don't know, about 160 miles an hour. And now Gardner still pressuring Ham as you're on board with Duke. And Duke seeing this battle, maybe trying to get the 2-for-1 special, as Gardner finally going to dive under Ham, and he might clear off of 4, but Ham fights back, has to relinquish the spot, and Jeremy Gardner gets up to second as the 87 slides off of turn 4.
Well, Ham got real wide out of 2, got a little tight on exit, and that gave Jeremy Gardner the perfect opportunity to dive down under into 3, as now Ham is being attacked by David Duke into 3.
And Duke now going to the inside of the 87 truck, and Duke maybe having his best run of the season so far as he gets close to the left rear of the 87, stays behind him here and outside, a little bit outside the top 10, I would say. Talk about that playoff cutoff line. Daniel Cunningham doing what he needs to do and being ahead of the car or the trucks that he's been battling, especially Stephen McDonald, 19th, James Kaufman in 20th, gaining those points he needs to get to be ahead of that playoff cut line. And there's Daniel Cunningham right there. Started 17th. He's up 5 spots and trying to point his way into the playoffs. And I'll tell you this, Scott, everything makes it easier. We see it in the real life NASCAR racing series. It just seems like once you win, the pressure's off. There's really no worry until you get into the playoffs, other than racking up points.
It's really nice. It takes it makes everything easier. You can race, you can kind of have some fun, as we'll see the 43 coming to pit road of Mike Bertosa. Is this a time for pit stops, or does he have some damage?
Not sure. I think even with 80%, I think this might be an unscheduled pit stop for the 43 car or 43 truck, excuse me, who started 23rd, currently 25th now, and getting some damage fixed. Left, right rears or right side tires are going to get jacked up. So it seems a little bit unscheduled. And as we're doing through pit road, how about we give a shout out to Veterans for Life Racing, as they are the title sponsor of tonight's truck series. But they're a race team with the goal of fielding a truck next season in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, veteran based and focused on helping veterans all across the racing world. They are heavily involved with many veteran nonprofits to raise awareness and funds. Goat Locker Racing is now partnered with them, and they are the title sponsor of tonight's racing series, the Friday Truck Series. We appreciate having them on. As on the racetrack, trouble on the racetrack, it's Jacob Allingson into the outside wall. And big developments for him, who's trying to have and save his season now, brings it to pit road.
Huge contact there to the outside wall. No caution. He was able to dive it down to pit road. You can see on his camera, visibly upset, either at himself or somebody else. He's talking on that radio. We're going to have to take a look back here soon. It's what happened. We'll get our replay right here, looking along with that 27. So looking at that live driver cam. Oh! Just
got the wall.
Contact on the exit of 2 there. 91 barely avoids
Cunningham
there.
get a piece of that.
I don't know.
If he did. He
Looks
seems
very
to be
close.
going good, but yeah, that is big. We saw the frustration from him right there, knowing that his season, he's trying to get a turnaround. Last week, he had such a great run, was running the top 5, and seemed to maybe lose a little bit of that truck and then get in a wreck. And we saw last week that frustration was fairly visible, was not happy with himself, and I think, again, having another moment, not too pleased, and unfortunately going to cost him what could be a lot of points, and almost going to be put in a must-win situation. As on your screen, Cunningham working himself up to 10th, getting by Craig Bontrager, Mullins behind him, and how about the 28 of Charlie Harcum up on the outside, that blue and white truck, just a little bit behind this battle. You'll see that truck coming into the frame, and he's close up on this battle. Oh, Bontrager taps the outside wall, and now Mullins will get the spot, and Harcum now looks to get that spot as well.
Very close there for Bontrager there. I looked back at that incident with Jacob Ellingson. I think that was the 14 of Chance Taylor in that blue and pink Operation Valor car that might have had some contact with him on the exit of 2.
Yeah, no real visible damage to the 14 of Chance Taylor. He's working on the 07, the Nashville winner, another concrete track this season. We've been to a lot of them early part of the season. That's Patrick Drabick, and he's kind of sitting in 7th here. He's got Taylor all over him.
Man, look at that. So
He's
close.
sliding. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Chance Taylor is putting it all on the limit here. Trying to get to the back of Patrick Drabick there. Trying to take that next position into 7th. Nothing doing there. Just still a little bit of a 2/10 gap.
And behind them, the 91 of Cunningham looking to get another spot on George Jewell in the 36, and now Jamie Mullins trying to follow back with him. As you can see that on the onboard of that jam printing truck, as Joey would like to call it, the Crimsicle mobile, really. And Patrick's always can't miss that truck. As Cunningham now goes to the inside, gets by Jewell, and now Mullins looking to get behind them in a nice green flag run, 30 laps on these tires, and you can already see the handling kind of going away. The top 2 have pulled a second on Jake Ham, and Ham has pulled another second on Duke, and this field getting spread out relatively quickly until we get to the mid-pack where we got Drabick and Taylor as Taylor goes by. And oh, look at that, George Jewell to the outside wall. He's got a tire down.
Very close with on that contact there. He's in the wall. Still green on the speedway yet again. No caution yet. 36 is trying to nurse his way back to pit road. Not sure if he's got a tire down or had a huge mistake there, but
possibly, but he's back going, but heavy damage to the right front. We'll take a look at the V-Speed instant replay following behind the 91 as we're on board with him. Gets loose, didn't really have any help, and yeah, it just gets up into the outside wall. And then again, I think that maybe some damage and hard into the outside wall again into turns 3. And now he is bringing it on to pit road, although he is spinning on pit road, and he slams into the pit barrels.
oh my, and he instantly goes to his pit lane. Oh my goodness. Still green. He was able to get back to his pit, but goodness, couldn't quite get it back down and slow down in time enough. So more problems for the 36 of George Jewell.
That is heavy damage. And we talk about this pit road being one of the hardest pit roads, going from 160, 170 miles an hour plus, and then to 35 miles an hour, loses it, and the pit barrel's right there, and he slams into him. And that's tough for George Drull and going to hurt him in points as as our leader, Mike George, has now pulled about a 0.3 of a second gap. George looking for his first win of the season and looking to be the 6th different winner in 6 different races, but a race winner this season, Jeremy Gardner, and in my personal opinion, probably the championship favorite, stalking him from behind.
Oh, absolutely. A championship favorite for sure. But man, Mike George doing a really great job pacing the field here right now, leaving the gap, just the gap he needs to be able to save. The real question is, Alec, when are we pitting? With 35 laps, coming to 35 laps completed here, how long can these tires go? We've got 3 sets of tires in the pits. I imagine these drivers will use 2 of those tonight, or will they only go 1? Will they try to make it to halfway?
I think, trouble down. Oh, Patrick Drabick really loose down the backstretch. He's actually going to lose a couple spots to Cunningham and Mullins. Lost one to Taylor not too long ago, but he has gathered it up and now settles into the 10th position. But I think, honestly, what I'm seeing, you're probably going to want to cut this in half and only pit once. Although you could see guys try to cut into thirds, but you're going to need to pit now if you're going to cut into thirds. Maybe pit into at 40, then 80 to the end. But will we see? I think that's one thing we love about Dover with the tire fall off is seeing guys try different strategies, but you also got to be careful too as well is the pit road being so slow. You get an untimed caution, your race is done, you're 2 laps down.
Well, talking about tire fall off, it's crazy. We've dropped off almost 2 seconds from the best laps these drivers put in. Most of the best laps were around a 24.2. Currently, Mike George, your leader, is running a 25.9. So almost 2 seconds slower than when we started this race.
Yes, for sure. And right now we'll looking as the green flag racing continues. But again, we'll do our sponsor shout out here is just how great it's been. We'll go with Jam Printing and Promotions as they're on the 07 of Patrick Drabick. But since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits with the primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They have been with Goat Locker since the very beginning, local and veteran certified. When they do well, they do good in the community, as our Jam Printing and Promotions pole sitter Mike George still leader of this race, and Patrick Drabick in the Jam Printing and Promotions truck running in the 10th position. But George doing a great job. He's led, I think, every single lap since the drop of the green flag. A dominant performance so far, but Jeremy Gardner still not letting him go out of his sights. But the battle's really on from Levi McCarty back. He's kind of holding up about 3 or 4 trucks behind him. Chance Taylor kind of stuck behind the 24, and then Taylor's got Cunningham, who I believe is our biggest mover of the race. Started 17th, he's up to 8th, up about 9 spots, and he's looking to get a 10th spot here and work himself into the 7th, and possibility at a top 10 as well, or a top 5, excuse me.
A strong drive from the 91 of Cunningham. Love that paint scheme that he's got. Ghost on the hood. I'm a big fan of the yellows. Really, really easy to see. I also love that Trackhouse number, that 91. So great job from Cunningham so far. Up 9 positions in this race. Going to try to keep it there. Like you said, probably trying to go for a top 5. Maybe even sneak in a win. We've seen Daniel Cunningham in seasons past.
Oh, trouble.
Pit stops.
Duke missed his pit entry, and we talk about like getting another hard pit road to get into, and look at all the spots. He's going to drop from 4th outside the top 10, and Jeremy Gardner has run in. So maybe we are gonna cut this race into thirds.
With 2 seconds of fall off, I'm really not surprised at that. I mean, these tires are really getting to their limit here. 2 seconds is crazy, but it makes sense for this track. As we'll see David Duke trying to make it again. This is the replay of him missing pit road there. Had to back it back up and try to get back around, but you said lost a lot of spots.
And now he's in, and here comes Chance Taylor into pit road as well. That pink and blue truck, he's in, and unfortunately for Duke, who was running in 4th, he lost all those spots, fell outside of the top 5 and outside the top 10 even, and he's going to have to work that all back up on the racetrack and be in that battle with a lot of trucks. Now, what these guys can't afford is a caution, and I would assume we're going to see somebody try to stretch it out here and try to cut this race in half. And Mike George has yet to bring it down to pit road, so it makes you wonder, is he going to try to go long here and cut this race in half, where we're going to see probably the 42 of Gardner cut into thirds?
Well, with Garner pitting
Although
a
I think
lap
there's
or
an
two
issue for
ago.
Garner. He's got speeding on pit road.
No, that is huge. That is a
Although-
huge penalty for Gardner. That could take him out of the race win if we don't have a caution here today.
Well, I don't know if it's speeding on pit road, although he did end up having some damage to that right front, if I'm seeing that correctly. I'm not really sure, but might have got the wall. But yeah, 52-second pit stop. I got to think that has to be some sort of penalty, and has fallen 3 laps down, and I don't think he's going to be too happy with that. And he'll try to work around James Goshen here, who gets a little loose in front of him, and Gardner has to avoid. But that puts Duke and Taylor on the first 2 trucks now ahead of that strategy to cut this race probably into thirds, and everybody else looking to cut this race in half. And I think that's going to give Mike George a little bit of a sigh of relief, because the only truck that can touch him now sits 3 laps behind him.
I think that's something that's really going to play out into the back half of this race, Alec. Was it better to go for the halfway, or was it better to break it into thirds? Personally, I think thirds. With how much fall off we've seen, those 2 seconds are going to catch up really quick for these guys. I think it's going to be pitting twice.
We're going to get a perfect example of this. There's David Duke, who missed his pit stall, but look at the difference in tires. That last lap, about 1.5 seconds faster, and look at how quick he closed up. George goes way high, way up into the marbles, and almost gets into the wall, and that might have been too big of a let go there. And there goes Duke on by, and has already pulled about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds from the 29, and now sits 1 lap down, and he'll definitely get that lap back no matter what once George pits. Chance Taylor, though, is coming up, but Duke has really pulled away.
Yeah. I mean, you can see it. You gave it a great example right there of just the difference of the tires here, and how much that 2 seconds is really put into a great view here with how far that 78 has already run away from your leader of Mike George, who has yet to come to pit road.
Yeah, and he is just gone all by himself now. And good thing for Duke is that he's got clean air, and I believe we have the old camera with the Duke, and man, he is a character. I love it. And there he is, got the captain hat on, and love it right now. And he is focused. You can tell he knows. I think, and like you said, if this strategy works out, he is leading it, and there's really nobody else on it. And I will say this one thing that I do like about the strategy: you're constantly on the offensive. I think at a certain point, with guys taking it and cutting this into 1.5, you're going to be on a defensive at the end of this race.
Absolutely. You said it just right there with David Duke and all he's running this. We got a few guys on this strategy. We've got 3 right now with David Duke, Chance Taylor, and James Kaufman. Obviously, Jeremy Gardner is on it as well, but we believe that he had a penalty with that long stop in the box, so he's much farther back than the rest of the other 3 guys. So most of the rest of your field staying out here and looking to go to pit road only once, but I like it. David was running well, so for him, I don't know. It's interesting to pit different than the rest of the field when he was running 4th, but we saw Chance Taylor. He was running just inside the top 10, and James Kaufman was running outside the top 10. Not a bad call for them. Try to switch it up, maybe mix it up with the rest of the field, and maybe get a surprise win here today.
Yeah, and here comes Howie DiSavino. He's in the pit road now, and he's kind of struggled as the race has kind of gone on. Last lap was a 26.2, so really falling off. Going to have to bring it in and get some service to that truck, and he'll be on a different strategy compared to Duke and everybody else. Maybe trying to cut this maybe a little bit less into thirds, although it's still going to probably cut into thirds now for him. But this is really going to be interesting. And when do these guys pit? I got to think within the next couple of laps we'll see the leader, George, pit. Although, even though cutting in half, he can go 60+ laps on fuel and tires. So it seems, but the tire fall off is really big. And we're almost into the 26 seconds, and we're almost, 2.5 seconds of fall off here?
For most of these drivers, yes, 2.5 seconds. But for Mike George, he has continued to run in the 25.8, 25.9 range. So he has been saving this whole time. We called it earlier with how he was pacing the rest of the field. He has been running consistently 25.8, 25.9 laps. So he was planning on this. He has been saving for it. And so right now he's got a 4-second natural gap lead to the second place car at the 87 of Jake Ham. So very impressive here by him. He's putting on a masterclass right now, like we said, with him dominating. But again, we've got more than half this race to go. He's got a lot of laps left to clock in.
Yes, he does. As we're closing up to halfway through, and the Veterans for Life Foundation, give them a shout out here. And the goal of the Veterans for Life Foundation is to both revitalize communities and supporting military veterans and their families' successful transition back into civilian life through support services, counseling, and education. They provide permanent, affordable housing to veterans and their families. And it's great to see what Veterans for Life Foundation does. As Patrick Drabick has had an issue on the pit road, and I think he might have looped that truck around. He's going to lose a little bit of spots as Barkus is in, Bontrager is in. So it's going to be interesting to see where these guys come out. Mike George stays on the racetrack. I got to think what's too long is Levi McCarty also bringing it in. Is here to take a replay to Patrick Drabick, who, oh, he got the pit barrels. Man, those pit barrels are collecting a lot of trucks today.
Man, he was so close to avoiding it there, just was trying to squeeze out every inch of speed there to gain on the pit road entry, and there was just a little bit too much. Didn't get it slowed down in time enough. Barely made that commitment cone, so very impressive for him to make the commitment cone, but just needed a few less miles per hour there. That'll lose him a few spots there, but again, Patrick Drabick already won, like we talked about, so no real worry for him. You know, he's racing to race, trying to get some more wins for more points, but that's one of those things about him. Here, the pit of the leader, Mike George, 29, into the pit lane, but like we said, that's the safety of having the win. You can have those mistakes and be okay.
For sure, and George, your leader, pits in, and big for him, cannot afford to speed. He's got such a comfortable lead. I don't think he needs to speed. As believe it or not, this will be the first lap he hasn't led all night long, and he'll come into pit road relinquishing the lead, and that leaves Jake Ham and Daniel Cunningham and Jamie Mullins. James Goshen and Tyler Justice have yet to bring it down pit road. Those guys are going to have to be hoping for a caution where they can trap everybody a lap down.
That's the only thing they can hope for there, because that would be really, really nice for them. Some of these guys running long here. We've seen green for all 61 laps today as we're looking along with Jake Ham now leading the race, running second and third all day long. He's led now 2 laps.
Look at that.
A little bit of scuffle there exiting pit road. These guys are all jumbled up, all freshly pitted, so they've got some fresh tires on their trucks, battling it out here with a little bit of a jumble and a stack up.
And there goes Gardner up into the outside wall, and it shows too the difference. I think a lot of people kind of forget too is there's so many different strategies going on. The tires' lives are so different that you don't really know what's happening. So I think this is going to be Cunningham probably coming to pit lane. Ham continues to stay out on the racetrack, and now Daniel Cunningham going way low on the apron, really slowing it down. He's going to lose some valuable time, I'd have to guess, but it's better to be safe than sorry for the 91 truck, who's below the cut line for the playoffs, and now brings it down pit road. And still the top now 5 have yet to bring it in, as here comes Stephen McDonald, who's currently was on the cut line entering this race. He's in. Charles Phelps is in, and David Duke will be the leader. Now Jake Ham, your leader, coming into pit road as well.
Well, David Duke, he's on one of the 1/3 strategies there, so has pitted once already and will probably have to pit again unless he's planning to save a lot. I don't even think he can make it on fuel, so I think he'll have to make it second place of the 87 of Ham in as well there.
And Justice will stay out. Goshen, I believe, came in. Stubblefield stays out. So 2 trucks have yet to come into pit road, and that's your leader, Tyler Justice, and Timothy Stubblefield, who brought it, I believe, in second place and got a podium position for sure at the Atlanta Motor Speedway earlier this year. As the Duke is the leader, and he has a pretty hefty gap over Taylor, who's sitting about 7 seconds behind, and then George with, I would say, about 14 lap fresher, or excuse me, a little bit more than that, about 18 lap fresher tires than Duke, but he is about 9 seconds behind the 78 truck, although the 78 truck's now going to have to be on defense for a short bit because he's got trucks with faster tires coming around him now, and he's got to hold on here, but it's looking really good in terms of the split into thirds, because I don't believe we're going to see the rest of the field pit again, although we could, but I just don't see it.
No, the rest of the field will stay out unless we get a late race caution. With the amount of fall off that we have here, and that's the thing. Are we going to see any cautions at the end of this race, Alec? If we do, are we going to see one? Or could we see multiple? Because if we see multiple, all these guys that will have only pitted once will have 2 extra sets in the pits. But these few guys like David Duke and and James Kaufman and these guys, with all of them going to pit twice before this race is up, they'll only have one. So that's another thing. Some of these guys hoping for no caution near the end for sure, maybe no 2 cautions at the end. So it's really interesting. But the point to remember, David Duke and James Kaufman are your 2 guys out there that are on that alternate strategy, trying to pit twice in this race.
Yeah, they are. And right now, Chance Taylor is still a little bit ahead of Mike George, but George has cut about 2 seconds of time out of David Duke's lead. And again, Mike George on the one-stopper, who we've argued, I guess you could argue, has probably been class of the field tonight, led about over 60 laps in this race already. And Taylor, who's on older tires, on the same strategy as Duke, but I want to also take a look at, there's only 11 trucks on the lead lap right now. So the field is very, very spread out, different tire strategies going on. But Mike George, where he's at still, I think only puts 12 or 13 trucks on the lead lap. The pace that the 29's been setting is blistering. And Barkus trying to get his lap back, I believe. We set Barkus behind. Yeah, and I was really surprised, but Barkus, who's up into 4th, he's going to get by. And I will say this. Oh, little contact ahead of them. Goshen's going to go around in front of George. George has to check up. Barkus and Taylor just miss. And there's the caution we were talking about, Scott. It comes out on lap 69.
This is going to be huge. This is exactly what David Duke and Chance Taylor might have wanted here. We saw these leaders, they've pitted, they've gone out for about 9 laps, some of them 5, some of them 7. Is this call to pit, as we saw James Goshen, that 85 spin? We'll take a look back at what happened looking along with the 85, trying to go under the 11 here for a pass for position.
That's Scott Phelps in the 11 on the outside. You can see loses the side force underneath him, keeps trying to gather it up, and just bounces off of him. Almost came up and collected the 2nd through 4th there, but luckily everybody avoids. And now we'll see guys bring it down pit lane. Duke brings it in. Taylor, Barkus, and George stays out.
Not surprised by that. Mike George, obviously, he's saved really good on that first stint there. I looked at it. The last lap times he was running was about in the 25-second range. So he wasn't even trying to go anywhere near the 24s. So he was saving from the get-go there. So he had about 9 laps on his tires and was already saving. But a lot of other cars here that aren't on that alternate strategy coming in.
Yeah, and that is going to be very interesting to see as pit stops will take place. And as we finally get our first caution of the night, almost halfway through, we'll go to our vet spotlight of the evening. And it's going to be Mickey Isaac. Mickey was awesome, and we'll shout him out here in just a second. And this week's Mickey Isaac. Mickey served 9 years in the Kentucky National Guard. During that time, he served in multiple MOS, such as a combat engineer, heavy equipment engineer, and a military police. He deployed to Iraq in 2004 and 2006, and we are glad to have Mickey be a part of Goat Locker Racing. Mickey, thank you for your service. And Mickey also competes in the Cup Series that runs, I believe, on Wednesdays, and you can always support him on Wednesdays. So shout out to Mickey. Thank you for your services. Caution's going to continue, and it looks like, if I could tell, Mike George and Charlie Harcum will stay out on older tires, and Duke all the way back to Phelps will have fresher tires. Although Phelps, I think, is going to take the wave around, but Justice on back 1 lap down. Maybe that's another strategy for George to trap most of this field a lap down. But man, it's going to be interesting. I just don't see these two being able to hold on. You talk about he was in the 27 or 25-second bracket. That's already a second off of his fastest lap. So I don't know if he's going to be able to hold on. You know, we get 10 laps. Caution comes out. He's looking really good, but he's just got to come up through the field. But right now, we go green to the end. I think now, for sure, they're not coming down pit lane again. I would be surprised if we see anybody come down pit lane again. So the guys that pitted need this race to go green. I think if you're Harcum and George, you need this caution you need a caution to come out relatively soon, maybe after 10 or 15 laps.
This worked out really well for those guys who were on that alternate strategy. I think it worked out best for the 14 of Chance Taylor. We saw him running in the back half of the top 10, was doing really well, but this net gained him a little more than 5 positions there. David Duke, we saw at the beginning of the race before pit stops, is running in 4th position, so he's gained about 1 here. We know he's a really strong driver, so I think this has really, really benefited the 14 of Chance Taylor, and I believe it was the 25 of James Kaufman. He was running back in the 18th, 19th, 20th position. He's up to 11.
For sure, it's been working out really, really good in Kaufman. Where those guys below the cut line now, probably above. He's racing Cunningham and he's racing McDonald here in the 68, and we'll get the 1 degree. But before we get going, once again, shout out Cruising Classics, who's located in Columbus, Ohio. Cruising Classic has been a beautiful 56,000 square feet showroom filled with hundreds of unique automobiles. There is something for everybody out there. Their hand-picked selection of muscle cars and hot rods. Come on down and visit the facility in Columbus, Ohio, and go to cruisingclassicsinc.com and check out their website, and come on down to the facility, check out their cool collection of hot rods and wonderful, wonderful muscle cars. And I've went on their website, man, they got some awesome, awesome cars in their showroom. And highly recommend, if you're out in the Columbus, Ohio area, go ahead and check them out, man. They got some really, really cool automobiles. As the field lines up 2x2, it's Harcum in the 28, that blue and white 28 on the bottom, and Mike George, the pole sitter, he's going to be rolling off on the outside, the 29, 28 front row. Then it's Barkus and Duke, the first 2 trucks on fresh Goodyear Eagles. Here we go into the restart zone. A long restart zone, I might add, as it's George and Harcum. Green flag back out. Harcum spins the tires. They all bob and weave behind 3 wide. Duke gets squeezed by Ham and Harcum, and Barkus now gets up to second. Duke, patient, not going to be patient enough, makes contact with Harcum. Harcum slides on the bottom. They all gather it up and they go down the back stretch. Everybody gets through.
Good job by the 28 there, holding that together. Really good by the class of the field on that checkup. No one got into the back of anyone. That was a really high-class racing from these drivers. 28 of Harcum is now down to 10th position, battling here on the inside of that 25 of James Kaufman.
How about Ham going to the inside? Jake Ham underneath Jamie Barkus. He gets loose. Now Duke goes up to the outside. Can they run down George on older tires? Contact for third, the 87 and 78. Duke fighting on the outside. Ham loses on the bottom, and Duke goes to third. Now Barkus peeks the nose to the inside of George for the lead.
David Duke, really great there, squeezing down the 87 of Jake Ham. Really good pass on the outside. We don't see that often here at Dover, but it was a great job by Duke. Now he's going on the outside for Jeremy Barkus. Jamie.
Barkus peeks down to the inside. Can't do it. George shuts the door. Duke to the outside. Can he get to the quarter panel of George? He can. George squeezes him. He holds on to it. Now Duke trying to get by. He gets to the outside again. Can George on older tires hold him off? He can. Now 4 trucks under a blanket for the lead down the backstretch.
Looks like we're trying to go for another restart, except we're already at full speed. David Duke to the lead here in 3 and 4. What a great drive.
And he's got it. Jake Ham closing up behind. George gets loose. He'll lose another spot to Ham. And now Ham looking for more. He goes to the outside. Duke shuts the door.
What is happening to Mike George? Falling down now past Jamie Barkus. He's going to fall to 4th here unless he can do anything about it. And look at David Duke. Contact between the leaders.
Oh, and Ham's to the wall. Ham hits the outside wall. Barkus goes through. George can't. Here comes Taylor closing up behind. What amazing racing we're seeing. Taylor really loose on the bottom.
Sideways behind him.
What a save from Chance Taylor. Now the top 3 on fresh rubber. George struggling on those older tires. How about the 49 of Craig Bontrager all the way up to 5th?
Just Craig has snuck up in here. This is the action that we haven't had all day. We have been calm all day long, and these drivers have decided that now is go time. We've got just over 45 laps to go in this race, but these drivers don't care. They're giving it their all right now. David Duke under pressure from that 15 of Jamie Barkus.
And they got to remember, this is a run to the end. Who can save tires as this run goes on? I'll tell you who's not saving tires. It's these top 3. Jamie Barkus in the Cruising Classic Chevy Silverado to the bottom. Duke pitches him off the corner, and now Ham closes up behind 3 trucks under a blanket for the lead. Barkus on the bottom, Duke in the 78 on the outside, and Ham with those green 87 numbers behind them. Barkus to the lead off of 2. Now Ham pressuring Duke, gives him a shove into turn number 3.
Wow, Ham being a little bit reserved there, didn't decide to go down to the inside. These 3 cars lined up right here, and we got Mike George right behind them in 4th, falling back just a little bit over 6/10 of a gap to Ham and Jake Ham. But man, what a drive this has been. What a last few laps.
And how about Barkis getting to the lead? He's got cleaner behind them for 5th place on the racetrack. How about Jamie Mullins, who's crept up to the top 5 almost, holding off Craig Bontrager. Chance Taylor behind him. These guys seem to have really good long run speed, especially Mullins, especially Cunningham. Can they get it? There's contact for 2nd. Ham to the inside of Duke, being physical, trading a little paint. Duke not gonna like that. Pinches him off the corner. Duke fights back on the outside. They bob and weave down the backstretch. Barkis pulling away, and Ham finally has the position to 3. Although not done yet. Duke back down to the bottom.
Duke tries to slide the crossover, won't have the speed on exit there.
Man.
Jake Ham back into 2nd position.
Phenomenal racing from the top 3. Barkis now has a 2nd lead over Jake Ham and David Duke. Duke loses the nose behind in the wake of the 87 of Jake Ham. George getting held up, or holding up Jamie Mullins and Craig Bontrager behind these two. Now Duke back down to the inside of the 87 of Ham. Barkis loving what he's seeing in the mirror. Duke gonna get down to the bottom, almost door slamming the 87. Still side by side into turn number 1. Ham sends it up on the outside. Duke gonna be held down on the bottom. Duke trying to get by. He's gonna slide up here off of 2.
Jamie Barkis, your leader, is loving this. These guys, with every lap they battle, give him a farther and farther integer of gap. He's now 1.5 seconds in front of the 87 of Ham, and I think David Duke has now realized that he's fallen in line and trying to gain some speed.
She's got to save his tires. A long run to the end here. Will be almost a 50-lap run on tires. We saw how much fall-off there was. Can they wrestle these trucks to the end without there being another caution? Still packing air on that left side. Duke gets loose behind him. Can't seem to get by the 87 of Ham. Ham doing a phenomenal job holding off the 78 truck. Behind them, George under pressure from the 66 of Jamie Mullins, who's worked himself now up into 4th. George fighting back on the outside. Mullins can't get the spot. He'll try it once again into turn 3, sending it in on the bottom. George slides up a little bit, and he'll lose that spot. He might lose another to Craig Bontrager in that 49 truck. Now Duke back underneath Jake Ham again for 2nd.
Man, what has happened to our lap leader of Mike George? And look at this battle back for 2nd. David Duke is yet at it again. Oh, he's getting loose. Almost around. He saves it. He's still sideways into 3.
And he saved it all the way. He only lost 1 spot. What a save from Duke, who loses that spot once again to Jake Ham. And now Mullins and Bontrager closing up behind these two.
Man, again, I've got to look back to it. What is going on with Mike George, now down to 6th and still falling through this field? Is he trying to save more than the rest, or is something wrong with his truck? What has happened?
I just think it's those older tires here is going to really affect Mike George here. I was worried about him staying out, and I think those worries are coming true because he is struggling. Chance Taylor, Daniel Cunningham have now pounced up onto the 29 truck. Taylor gonna get tight on the bottom. He loses the nose. Here comes Cunningham with the run. Taylor gets loose. He slides down to the bottom. He saves it, and now Cunningham will get 1 and maybe looking for the 2-for-1 special in 1 lap, trying to get around George.
Cunningham trying to get all the positions he can, -2 to the cut line coming into this race, trying to gain all these valuable points that he can, trying to ride around the top on Mike George. You make a great point there, Alec. It is those tires. 7 laps mattered. We saw the fall off as we'll see Cunningham go to the inside here on our past leader of Mike George. Lap leader of today led over 40 laps, but now falling down to 7th, maybe 8th on the attack from Chance Taylor.
And Taylor looking to get by that 29 of George. And I gotta point out, we talk about the streak of different winners. How about the top 9? All drivers that have yet to win a race this season. Di Savino being the only one that has won this year. He's locked in. And Barkis looking to lock himself into the playoffs as he laps the 43 truck of Bertosa. And look at this, Ham and Duke going at it once again. But now there's another truck joining the fray, and that is Jamie Mullins. Mullins has closed up on the top, or 2nd and 3rd. And Craig Bontrager not too far behind. Duke to the inside of Ham. But now he's got to worry if he'll lose another spot, because here comes Mullins in the 66 behind.
Mullings running 3/10 faster than your leaders up here, so he's saving definitely less than these guys. That's how he's caught up so fast. Meanwhile, Jamie Barkus out to almost a 3-second lead now, as we've got the 2nd through 4th positions high under attack. Almost contact from David Duke to Jake Ham.
And Duke is getting frustrated behind him. He is not happy. He's almost laid a bumper to him that last time. Duke loose, trying to get by him. Can he find a way? He looks high. Now Mullins trying to get behind him and punch the air underneath him. This 43 truck of Bertosa might be the difference maker of Duke getting by Ham. Although now 5 trucks have joined in the battle for second. Cunningham and Bontrager are there. Duke to the bottom. He hits Ham. Ham gets sideways and saves it. Bertosa getting out the way.
Mullins around.
Mullins and Bertosa in the wall.
Oh my gosh.
It's into the outside wall. Bertosa heavy damage.
Still green here on track. No one is around, but oh my goodness.
Wow, Bontrager got into the back bumper of Mullins, and Mullins heavy damage. And I don't think Mullins is going to be too happy with the 49 of Craig Bontrager, who now is under pressure from Daniel Cunningham, having the night he needs to get into the playoffs.
Daniel Cunningham up 12 positions from the start of this race and up almost 9 from the start of this restart. Absolutely impressive by Daniel Cunningham.
And it is absolutely amazing how the racing has amped up, with now going to be almost 15 laps to go. These guys trying to keep it clean and green, although with the way things are going, it is going to be hard because these guys slipping, sliding, being aggressive, trying to move each other. Can we make it to the end? Howie DiSavino has worked himself up into 8th. Mullins struggling now. He's bringing it to pit road.
I cannot believe that we did not have a caution from that. It was absolutely crazy. We had almost 5 cars from 2nd to 7th battling in that pack. The lap car of Bertosa got in the way. Wild. Looking along with the 91 of Daniel Cunningham here, trying to take the fight to the 49 of Bontrager.
And he's there. It's going to get tight off of turn number 4. Chance Taylor has closed up on the battle. He's behind them. And this is the battle for 4th on the racetrack. Cunningham has had the night he's needed. Taylor having the night he's needing. And Bontrager having a solid day inside the top 5. They're closing up on Duke and Ham, who has kind of positioned himself ahead of this battle. We saw Duke, did he burn his tires up too much trying to get by the 87 of Ham? And now he's going to be under pressure from 3 trucks behind.
They battled very hard. Jake Ham now running. He's running a 25.7 right now. Cars behind him running a 25.9, a 25.6, and a 25.7 as well. So that 49 car of Craig Bontrager is just a little bit faster, but currently Ham running well. Bontrager now taking the fight to Daniel Duke.
And he's really, really loose on the bottom. David Duke trying to hold on to the outside. Bontrager loses the nose. Duke taps the wall. Here comes Cunningham to the outside. Taylor following suit. Bontrager loses 1. He'll lose maybe a 2nd spot to the 14 of Taylor. He's going to get loose tight now on the bottom. Taylor gets by. Bontrager down to 6. Look at Cunningham to the bottom of Duke into 3.
Wow, that was a huge move, trying to make it stick on the bottom. They'll exit side by side out of 4. Will the 78 have the momentum? Yes, he will. The 91 will have to slow up. Now Chance Taylor is attacking the Cunningham 90. Whoa.
And now the 91 to the outside. So much action happening. Duke slowing up on these older tires. Taylor not going to get the spot from Cunningham. Cunningham holds on to 4th. Taylor now back down to 5th. Bontrager closing up. Duke way up the racetrack, almost into the marbles. Cunningham trying to find a way around him. This is the battle for 3rd. Taylor gets loose. He'll lose that spot to Bontrager.
I have never been more exciting. This racing action is amazing, Alec. These guys are absolutely going for it. We absolutely saw them saving in the first half here. Daniel Cunningham coming at it again on the inside of that 78.
This track is getting wider and wider, more rubber getting laid down. Cunningham to the bottom. Duke going to carry the momentum on the outside. There's almost contact, trading a little paint down the front stretch. Cunningham to the bottom of Duke. Duke pitching him into the corner. Duke loses the rear end of the truck. He'll lose that spot as well. Cunningham up to 3rd. Here comes Bontrager behind the 49 looking for 4th.
What a drive by the 91 of Cunningham. This is exactly what he needed today. We talked about it with the points. These top 9, top 10 drivers are not locked in. None of them have won, and wow, get loose by the 49 of Bontrager, but what a drive. by Daniel Cunningham, doing what he needs today. Chance Taylor now on the outside of Bontrager.
Oh, it's gonna get tight. Bontrager feeds a fender to Taylor, and Taylor hits the wall. Gardner, do not mind him. He is a lap truck 10 laps down. He's just trying to get to the field nice and easy. And Mike George on those older tires is closing back up into this battle. Bontrager losing the rear end of that truck. Duke holding on by a thread in this top 5. He is trying everything he's got to hold on. Bontrager loose on the bottom. He's got Gardner taking all the air off the spoiler.
This is a completely different race than we saw earlier, Alec. Now we're coming in under 10 laps to go here, and Jamie Barkis has over a 4-second gap back to your second place car, J-Cam. Meanwhile, Bontrager and Chance Taylor still at it yet again with a lap car of Gardner in the middle.
And Gardner trying to do his best to just get past these guys and get out of the way. Duke now going to get held up down the back stretch. Oh, Bontrager loose. He saves it, but Taylor gets by on the outside. Can he? He will, and now George closing up as well. Duke has a little bit of sigh of relief to hold on for these last, what will be 7 laps to go. Barkis all by himself, closing up on a 4-second lead, looking for his first win of the season. He's praying, saying, guys, please keep it together. He needs to see that white flag.
Man, absolutely. That's exactly what he's thinking right now. Following his lead a little bit, trying to save, probably trying to make too many mistakes. Looking along here with the 49 of Bontrager, having a great day. He's been in some great battles. Now he's diving down the inside of Taylor. They'll make it close on the inside of 1.
And he's there. He slides up. Taylor slides up. Bontrager diamonds the corner, trying to get the exit. Can he clear the 14? No, he can't. Duke falling to the clutches of these two as well. What's going to happen? Will these guys be able to get by and make it clear? Taylor way up the racetrack. Here comes George behind them.
Wow.
Bontrager gets the spot.
Mike George coming back. He saved a lot, but you talked about it. Those old tires got to him. Now he saved a lot earlier, coming back, trying to break into this top 5, just 2 spots out.
Can they get by the Duke for 4th? Duke holds on to that 4th position, but Craig Bontrager looks to the inside. Taylor looks even lower. It's almost going to be looking 3 wide off of turn 4. Bontrager loose on the bottom. He slides. He almost makes contact with Duke. They hold on. 5 laps to go from Dover. George now to the inside of Taylor. 2 rows of side-by-side. Bontrager loose on the inside. He can't get the spot from Duke. Duke holds on for another straightaway.
You've got to think, did David Duke use up too much earlier in that battle with the 87 of Ham? He's having to hold on to it, trying to run the top line, has momentum off the corner. Bontrager down to the inside again, loose on the exit, trying to hold it, but just side by side, just has the quarter panel into 1.
What a spot, what a move here on the inside. Can he complete the pass? Gonna lose all that side force on the bottom. Duke doing a phenomenal job. Hold on, Bontrager's in the wall! He hits the outside wall, and he loses 3 spots. Heavy damage to the 49, and that might be the race for the 49. Bontrager, heavy damage, and Duke holds on. George gets by Taylor, but heavy damage, and he's in the wall again.
Man, Bontrager down there, no caution here, still green, but that was it for Bontrager. He's fallen down to 7th there. That puts Mike George up into 5th, now hunting down David Duke. Meanwhile, Chance Taylor and Bontrager back on the inside.
Yes, Kaufman, that is a lap truck. He's going by on fresh tires. Can they keep it together for 2 more laps? Jamie Barkis with a lap and a half to go, cruising to his first win of the season. Barkis through 3 and 4. He'll be able to see it. Barney has the white flag in hand. 1 lap to go from the Monster Mile. 1 mile to go for Jamie Barkis, who is clear by 4.3 seconds. Daniel Cunningham looking to try to find a way around Jake Ham for 2nd. But it's Jamie Barkis down the backstretch. A half a mile to go. Who's led 35 laps, who started in 4th. What has been an up and down season will come through 3 and 4. He'll see the checkered flag. Not only does he have a win, he's got a secured spot in the playoffs. Jamie Barkis wins at the Monster Mile, making it 6 for 6 on different winners. And what a race. Jake Ham comes home in third. There was contact off of turn 4. Mike George flows out of the top 5 and 6, but it's Ham, Cunningham, Duke, Taylor, George, DeSalvino, Harcum comes across the line to get 8th. Scott Phelps will come home 9th, and Bontrager will come home in 10th on a limping 3-wheeled race truck. Wow, what a race. And look at this battle for what was 4th on the racetrack. David Duke fought for everything he had here for 4th. George looked to the bottom. He was almost there. Duke takes the air away. It gets down to the bottom, a little bit of contact. And look at Chance Taylor go on the outside and barely beat the 29 of George by 4 1,000ths of a second for 5th.
Man, that was Chance Taylor giving all he had there. What a great race to break into the top 5. But Jamie Barkus coming out of nowhere, hiding in the backfield in the beginning of this race. He had it all planned out, and man, he just ran away with it here at the end.
And you see that that sponsor on the hood of Jamie Barkus. Well, that is the Nasty's Bar and Restaurant, and one of the sponsors here tonight, Nasty's, who opened up in March of 2012. They opened their doors in Hilliard, Ohio, and from the get-go, they aim to embody the energy that the passions of their son, Nathan and John, poured into their dreams, and Nathan's commitment to hospitality ensured that every guest received exceptional food and service. And they are the co-sponsors of the Wednesday Next Gen series. They've hosted numerous fundraisers and within their establishment with goal of raising the funds to donate a sim rig to a deserving veteran or a first responder. And man, they are happy tonight as they got a show put on, and their driver Jamie Barkus bringing it home to the win. And we'll go the other 2 as well. How about Hidden Wit Brewery? And hopefully you guys enjoyed the race. All you race fans enjoyed. That was a certified banger, and we hope you enjoyed. And I hope you guys after this race wind it down with a cool drink. And Hidden Wit Brewery, they're one of those drinks you can have, and was born from the desire to help you find a little escape from the world outside their doors. Their focus is from the beginning has always been to craft drinkable beers you love to enjoy. They are a majority veteran-owned and the title sponsor of the Tuesday Xfinity Series, and they do a great job tuning all these racing series, broadcasted on V-Speed. InVets as well. Shout out to them. The InVets, they aid in transitioning to, or help InVets. They help vets are transitioning into civilian life. Their focus is job placement and finding the right community for veterans and their families to ensure their success and happiness. They are a veteran nonprofit in Indiana with the goal of bringing veterans to the state to live and work, and they are the title sponsor of the Sunday Truck Series here at Goat Locker. And man, oh man, Scott, what a race we had tonight. And let's look at our finishing results. Jamie Barkus was the winner. Jake Ham comes home in 2nd. Daniel Cunningham comes home in 3rd, their biggest mover of the race, I want to say, although maybe Charlie Harcum and Scott Phelps have something to say about that as well. David Duke fought for his life for 4th. Chance Taylor comes home in 5th. Mike George is 6th. Howie DeSavino is 7th. Charlie Harcum is 8th. Scott Phelps was 9th. And Craig Bontrager, limping around, comes home in 10th.
Craig Bontrager had that incident there. Then in 11th, we have the 85 of Goshen. Then in 12th, the 68 of Stephen McDonald. 13th, we had the 24 of Leon McCarty. Then in 14th, the 33 of Tyler Justice. Charlie Phelps and Timothy Stubblefield in 15th and 16th, closing out your one-lap down trucks. Then we had the 25 of Kaufman and the 42 of Gardner. And then in 19th, the 43 of Mike Bartosa, who we saw in that incident earlier on the back straightaway. And then in 20th, in his incident with the 66 of Mullins. I think they'll be talking after the race here in today, Alex.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then Patrick Drabick had a disappointing night, got in the pit barrels. He comes home in 21st. Matt Knights was 22nd. Michael Kostek was 23rd. George Jewell was 24th. And Jacob Allingson comes home 25th. And Andrew Chapman rounds out the field in 26th. And we'll pull up our race winner, Jamie Barkus. Jamie, Alec, and Scott in the booth. You got a copy, buddy?
I got you guys.
Well, man, your first win of the season. You're our 6th different winner in our 6th different race. You're locked into the playoffs. How does it feel to finally get that win?
Relief. Not only the first win, it's probably the first race I've finished Been dealing with a ton of connection issues, just getting dropped pretty much every race. So to be able to get to the end and win it, that's amazing. I'm thrilled to death.
Well, man, and like I said, our 6 different winner. What do you think your chances are as we go next week to the road course, our first road course of the season at Watkins Glen? How do you feel about maybe being our first multi-time winner of the season?
That's not happening. I'll just be happy to survive the road course. I am not a road guy. I am sure Cody McElwain, he'll be back off vacation next week. I'm sure he will put on a clinic as he normally does at the road courses, and he'll be the winner next week. It will not be me.
Okay, well, we'll keep our eye on that. Jamie, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to here for this win here tonight?
First, you guys, fantastic job every week with this broadcast. I love watching it back on Saturdays. You guys do a great job, so thank you very much. Of course, I've got Nasty's Sports Bar and Grill on the hood of that car, on a truck, excuse me, and Cruising Classics is on there as well. So super stoked to get them a win. Hopefully, they're having a good old party at Nasty's tonight. And we've got to thank Lincoln Tech for sponsoring this whole fall series we've got going on. We've got Hidden Wit Breweries with us, Veterans for Life Foundation, Veterans for Life Racing, InVets, Jampering Promotions, McConey's Setup Shop. They provide the setups for the Friday Night Truck Series. And, you guys again up there at V-Speed up in the booth. So thanks to all you guys to help make Goat Locker Racing go.
For sure. Well, we appreciate your time, Jamie. Congratulations. Go celebrate and maybe get yourself some from Nasty's, huh?
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate your time, man. Congratulations. And I believe, Scott, you've caught up with our second place finisher, Jake Ham.
Yeah, Jake Ham in the booth here with us. Jake, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, great to have you up here. Man, what a race. You started third, and when we weren't through pit stops, you never dropped below third. Talk to me about being up front all night long tonight in the top 3.
It was a struggle. The track temp, over 130 degrees, like driving on, what would that be? Like grease, I guess. I don't know. But it was definitely a challenge. Honestly, I'm very proud of this group for the green flag runs that we had, only one caution, and everybody being able to pit, under green flag was just, it worked out really well. Tonight it was a lot of fun.
It was extremely impressive for us here in the booth. In almost any other leagues I've ever called, I have almost never seen such clean racing, especially at a short track like Dover. We talked about tires a lot in this race, and that was one of the key factors of staying up front. Talk to me about what was that tire management like?
Yeah, I thought I was conserving it pretty good, and but when I came into the pits, I mean, my front right was at like 17%. And so it kind of took me by surprise, and so I think I stood out, or I think I hung out longer than pretty much anybody else. And my goal was, if we would have went green, I would have had a little bit more pace at the end there, to make up some time. And I think it might have been the right call long term, but there at the end, it just didn't work out. But overall, still, like I'm speechless here. It was a blast.
Oh, it looked like it. Talking about having a blast, what about that fight with David Duke? Y'all were side by side for so many laps.
Yeah, I'll probably go back and watch a little bit. I feel like it's a little bit aggressive. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I feel like every week, Duke is pretty aggressive in his driving style. I'm a little bit more relaxed, but when I get pushed around a little bit, I'm not just gonna let you have it. So at the end of the day, I feel like Dale Earnhardt out there, and sometimes you have some friends. Sometimes you get some enemies, and we'll see how it plays out the rest of the season.
Well, congratulations. Coming into this race, sitting 6th in the points. I think after today, you're probably going to be sitting 5th. A great drive, Jake Ham. Great drive.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, that was Jake Ham up here with me. Next, we'll have your 3rd place driver, that 91 of Daniel Cunningham, and he'll be with Alec.
Yes, sir. Daniel Cunningham, Alec Martinez, Scott in the booth. You got Scott Shive in the booth. You got a copy, buddy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, man, a spirited driving, being behind on the cut line here for sure. Pointed your way up above it now. Started 17th, come on 3rd. Take us through your night and all that crazy racing you were involved in.
Man, I really just keep thinking, what if I didn't absolutely screw up my qualifying lap? Because I was definitely running some good lap times there at the end of the race. Felt like I was matching or maybe just a little bit better than Jamie on a few laps there near the end. Not saying I would have been able to get to him and get around him, but I think I could have at least kept pace with him. But yeah, I mean, good night overall, especially having to drive up through the field. The setup was really fun. I thought, like, I've never driven Dover before and felt like I was at Darlington with just having to race the track instead of the other people around me. So that was really cool. It was just a lot about throttle control and felt like you could move around a lot more compared to some of the iRacing setups and run different lines. So yeah, it's definitely a fun night out there.
For sure, it looked fun to be a part of. It was a heck of a time to call. Next week, though, we go to a road course in the trucks. I know the trucks usually don't go to road courses, but go to Watkins Glen next week. How do you feel about attacking that road course and trying to get yourself another good finish?
I am far from a road course ringer, so I think my plan next week is going to be to keep it between the Armco and try to just come on with a solid finish out of that. I don't know. I've had some decent luck at Watkins Glen compared to some of the other road courses. Like, yeah, I guess it's just because we've run it so many times between all the leagues I'm in. But yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of expectations going into that one. Just try to do what I can, keep it shiny side up, and hopefully make something out of it.
For sure. Now, we appreciate your time, Aggie. Congratulations on third place finish. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to here tonight?
Yeah, appreciate y'all doing the broadcast as always. And it's good to hear your voice, Alec. Been a long time since I actually got to talk to you between here and some of the other leagues. So it's cool to get to connect again. Thanks to all of our league sponsors, Lincoln Tech. I got to pull the list up here. Sorry, I ain't prepared. Veterans for Life Racing, InVets, Jam Printing and Promotions, McConey Setup Shop. Thanks to all the admins, the work they put into it, Ghost Energy, and all my teammates over at Bandits Motorsports.
For sure. Well, we appreciate your time there, Daniel. Again, congratulations on third place finish, and maybe we'll be talking to you again next week at Watkins Glen.
Appreciate it, Alec.
All right, have a good one, Daniel. Thank you. And that was Daniel Cunningham. And, well, man, what a race. Scott, I want to bring you back in here to the booth here as we close out here. What a race we saw here tonight from Dover. Slipping and sliding, guys throwing haymakers really at each other, and all this, and we're going to a road course next week, something we haven't seen all year. How do you expect to go from Dover now to Watkins Glen?
Man, it's a very big switch up because, we saw tonight, we almost saw two different races tonight. First half was so calm and the back half was so chaotic. I expect a lot of chaos next week at Watkins Glen, but again, with these drivers, they're so good, they're so clean, but again, it's Watkins Glen. We expect to see some carnage. It's going to be hard racing out there on that track. It's such a good racetrack, so I'm really excited for it. A lot of these drivers, a lot of them really good on ovals, some of them a little less prepared for road courses, so we're really going to see a different class than we normally do at the top of that field next week.
For sure. And will the question be, can we go 7 for 7 on different race winners? And I mean, what a race we saw tonight. What a race we're going to see next week here at the Watkins Glen International. And Scott, I look forward to having you call it next week and having Logan Thurkow coming in too as well. But man, what a race we saw. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for supporting V-Speed. Remember, support V-Speed. Give us a like, give us a shout out, and share with all the people you know. But for everybody here at Goat Locker, for Patrick Dravick, Jamie Barkas, and for everybody here that supports Goat Locker Racing, sponsors, and all the people that are a part of it, for Adam Baker and Bradley Cooper at V-Speed, and a big shout out to our producer, Eddie Smith, and my colleague in the booth, Scott Schreiber. It was great. It was great to have you here tonight. My name was Alec Martinez. Thank you guys for watching tonight's broadcast, and we'll see you guys next week at Watkins Glen International. Until then, have a safe week, and we'll see you next Friday night.